Hey, girl. It is Sunday, June 22nd, and we are on episode 4, I believe. I think we're on 4. I can't remember, 4 or 5. Either way, you're here with me, and I thank you. Welcome. Come on in. Let's get comfy. Let's talk. Let's chit chat. This past week, girl, was crazy. When I mean crazy, I was so busy at work. So much happened this week. Even yesterday, so much happened. Did you guys hear about Trump dropping 3 bombs on Iran yesterday? Like, I don't know what that was for, but it's Trump, so I'm never really surprised. So, yeah, that happened. And it's been feeling tough. It's been feeling like there's so much going on, and I've just been feeling very spiritually tired for some reason. But I say all that to say, I don't know how your week went, but you're here now. You're here with me now, and I thank you. I thank you so much for being here. If you don't know, if this is your first time tuning in, I am Elisha Maria, and this is 40 something and nothing, where women in their 40s or close to it, or whoever, honestly, we come together to navigate this thing called life. That is it. That is the tea. That's what we do here. So welcome. I have some episodes that I previously uploaded. So if you haven't heard those, I highly recommend that you go check those out and then come back to this one, because there's a little sequence to this, right? But if you want to just hang out, it's fine. Welcome. Come on in and let's get started. So today we are talking about misery and being stuck in it because of having fear of change, right? We are afraid to make changes, so we stick with what we know, even though we are unhappy with what that is, right? And this could be pertaining to anything in your life. It could be your job, your boyfriend, your husband. It literally could be anything. But this is being afraid of change, and so we stick with the misery that we know because it's comfortable. So I had uploaded quite a few episodes, and each of those episodes are discussing ways to level up our lives, right? And in order to do that, changes have to be made, and those changes are sometimes easier for some and harder for others. It is not always easy for some people to make certain changes. There is sometimes a fear that is associated with change or letting go of certain people, places, and things, and, afraid to be alone, afraid to not making the money that you were making before, a fear of falling flat on your face. There's just fear associated with change sometimes for people. And so I was thinking, like, the way that, each of these episodes, we dive deep and really be discussing things that takes time, number one, and profound changes. And that can bring about a sense of anxiety or fear if you've really been trying to implement those into your life. So, what is fear exactly? Well, it is an unpleasant emotion that is caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. It is your mind and body's way of doing what it knows best, and the only way that it knows best, to protect you. And so what I find just naturally in me, that I tend to use that fear, that anxiety, to fuel wherever it is that I know that I'm trying to go. There are some aspects in my life that doing that comes easier than other aspects, and we're going to get all into that. But before we do, let me tell you what a little story that I was listening to this podcast the other day, right? Let me get comfortable. So yeah, I was listening to this podcaster, and this was like maybe like a week ago. And she was talking about how she had this really good friend who was explaining to her that she was completely miserable in her job. So she started fixing up her resume again, applying to new jobs, and then finally something stick. You know, someone reached out, she did the interview, they offered her the position. It was more money than what she's currently making. And her friend was like, oh my gosh, congratulations. Like, let's celebrate, that. And then her friend is like, hold on. I don't know if I'm going to take the job. And the podcaster was like, what? You're miserable in your current job. And she's like, I know, but it's what I know. What if I get to this new job and be just as miserable? And so I just was sitting there and I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, like, how sad is that to be afraid to take that risk or leave the box that you already know where you are right now is not comfortable for you, is not working for you, is not aligning with you, it's making you miserable, is making you uncomfortable. But because it's what you know, you're not going to leave that and try to do better, you know? Yes, the new position could turn out and be just as worse, but you got to try. And a lot of times we let the fear stop us from even trying. We allow the idea that I would rather be miserable with what I know than to step into the unknown. That can be a very, very bad situation for, especially when it's in terms of like relationships. If you know that you're either in maybe an abusive relationship or, you know, just in a situation with a person that you know is just not working. Forget what the details are. If it's just not working, it's just not working. But you stick there. You stick with it because of the fact that it's what you know. And you have this fear and this anxiety about stepping into the unknown. A little bit about myself. I already mentioned that I tend to let fear be the fuel for me, right? And so back in January of 2009, I was in Delaware. There was a snowstorm. It was cold. I was off that day. I used to work for the state of Delaware at that time. And it was my day off, and I'm sitting at home and I'm watching TV. Can't even remember what I was watching, but a commercial comes across the screen, right? And it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was the governor at this time of California. And it was just like sunny and bright and beautiful. Okay, it's an ad. So, of course, they're going to pop and make sure that they get your attention, right? But the whole purpose of the commercial at the end, he was like, this is California. Find yourself here. And I just was like, yes, I need to go find myself. I can find myself in California. I'm out of here. Like, yes, go find myself in California. And I was not playing. I was dead serious. I immediately went online. I started looking at apartments that would allow me to apply online. I applied for an apartment. I got approved. I uploaded my pay stubs from the state of Delaware. I may have told a little fib that, you know, I could work from home and I was keeping that job. That was a lie. But yeah, I was like, I'm out. So it was literally my next paycheck. I took that paycheck, I paid the deposit for the place in California, and the rest of the money that I had left over after paying the deposit was like $600 roughly. And I was like, well, that's the gas money. I packed up my eldest daughter at the time. She was 5. And I packed everything that I could fit in the car. Everything else I just threw out. And I was on the road driving to California. Took about 3, almost 4 days, right? And I remember being excited at first, right? I'm on the road and I'm hyped. I'm excited. I'm like, yes, we going to California. And by the time I got somewhere near, I want to say it was like Arkansas or something, I was just like, girl, you are crazy. If you don't turn this car around and stop acting like you ain't got no sense and go on back home and make it to work on Monday, stop playing with, like, I really started to get really, really afraid. Like, okay, I don't have a plan. I paid the deposit, yes. And then there was a special, you get your first month free. So I was like trying to calculate that in my head. I'm like, okay, I got to find a job within like at least 30 days, yada, yada, yada. And I was afraid. I got to Arkansas and I was like, no, this is, I got to turn around. But I couldn't. I didn't even know how to turn around. I'm driving on this highway. I'm trying to follow the map off of my phone. And I'm like, I don't even know where the exit is to turn around. All I could do was just keep straight. That's all I could do. And what I realized is that maybe a day later, there was a sign that said, welcome to California. And the fear just completely left. I was like, I'm here now. So I just got to make it work. Here I am. Welcome to California. There's the sign. And it's been a beautiful experience ever since, you know. But I wouldn't have never known that had I had not left. Like, I needed to leave. I needed to experience this. And that's not to say that I wasn't afraid to do it. The fear was definitely there. I brought it with me. And me, fear, and Sanaya was on our way to California. I was not going to stop. And the rest is history. Also, it's where I met my first husband. And, you know, I have my daughters. Now I have Sanaya, Arya, and Selah. And I couldn't even imagine my life without those 3 girls. So everything happens for a reason. But I did it even though I was afraid. With the fear, I still did it. And so I want to hopefully help you with some tips and tricks to overcome the fear. Like I said, the past few episodes, there has been a lot of things that we discussed that will require you to make changes. And doing that is easier said than done. And I understand that for some people, making those changes, it can be a lot of fear and anxiety associated with them. So I'm hoping that by the time I finish this episode, you'll have a little bit of tips and tricks to help you navigate that. So I believe we discussed what fear is. And so one of the first main things that I personally use, now this is not going to work for everyone, but this is what works for me. Tapping into something within myself that is a higher source helps me very, very much with navigating fear and getting through it, right? And so for me personally, that would be my ancestors. I 1000%, and it's going to make me tear up. I'm always about to tear up, guys, I know. But I 1000% believe that the only reason that I exist right now is because my ancestors had to endure hell, literal hell, and make a sacrifice to stick through it and endure it in order for me to even exist. My family comes from the South. So I know for a fact, without having all the facts, because, you know, they like to erase our history, but I know for a fact that my ancestors had to endure some crap in order for me to be here. Because if they had not endured it, then I wouldn't exist. And so I remind myself of that as much as I can in my life, because I want my ancestors to look down on me and see me living out their wildest dreams, right? They should be able to look down and be proud and feel like that's why we went through with what we went through, so that she could do this. Like, do you see her? Do you see our great, 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 great grandbaby? You know what I'm saying? Like, they made a sacrifice, a huge one, to endure everything that they went through and still survived. Like, so the little things that I'm afraid of is like they had to live with fear every single day. Fear of being hung, fear of being raped, fear of being beaten, and yet they survived. They lived. And so my way of designing my life the way that I envision it and doing that boldly and brave and having the courage to do that is because I know that my ancestors are looking down on me, and I want them to be like, yes, this is why we did this is why we had to go through that, so that she could do X, Y, and Z. So you have to find something in you that is bigger than the fear, that will help push you through it so that you can still get things done even though you may be afraid. Number 2 is baby steps, also known as exposure therapy, right? Exposure therapy means that, okay, maybe you're not going to do what I did and hop up and drive across country with a 5-year-old and only $600, but you could possibly do the research first, right? Because I didn't do that. So you could do some research on the computer first from the comforts of your own home, and then maybe do a visit, maybe a couple of visits, maybe a few visits, a few mini weekend trips, and then decide that you want to move there, wherever that might be. And this can apply to, I'm using relocating as an example, but this could literally apply to anything in your life. If you need to start even smaller, because your level of fear is going to look a lot different than my level, right? So if you need to start even smaller than that, that's totally fine. Then start traveling within your own town, areas that you have never had visited before. I'm from West Philadelphia, and there's a lot of places in Philly that I have never, to this day, have never yet experienced or visited. I've never really been to North Philly like that. I had no reason to be over in North Philly. I've never really been to like the Roxborough, Manayunk area, really. Like, I've never needed to go out and venture in those areas. But these are all things that if I was afraid to do the big leap or a big relocation, I would start with my own home and start visiting maybe a restaurant that I had never gone to, an area of my town that I may never had visited before. And again, mini vacations, Airbnbs, weekend trips, that sort of thing, until you can get comfortable with making the full decision to do whatever it is that you want to do the baby steps. A small step, a small baby minuscule step, even if it's just researching whatever this may be for you on the computer, is still a step. And I think we also have to remember that don't look at it as a failure because you haven't taken the big leap. The baby steps are part of the process and are very much accomplishments and should be considered as such. Like, great job for even taking the time to research this before leaping and jumping into it. So take your baby steps if you need to, but the only failure is if you don't do anything at all. Don't let that be you. Girl, don't let that be you. We taking baby steps. Fear is not stopping us. All right, so you have number 1, finding something bigger than yourself to hold on to help you navigate fear and get through it. Number 2, baby steps, exposure therapy, okay? Number 3, breathe, okay? Some of us don't breathe, and even if we are breathing, we don't know how to do it correctly, right? So in order to release the stress and anxiety and fear, sometimes all you need to do is take a deep breath. You breathe in and you hold that breath for 7 seconds and then release it slowly. Repeat that 3 times. And sometimes you can just feel the weight of the fear and anxiety just falling off of you. Sometimes all we need to do is breathe, girl. Take a breath, take a beat, okay? And then once you've done doing your breathing exercises, start back off where you were. Start right back where you left off and continue. But breathe. A lot of times we fail to breathe. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, overthinking it does not overcome the fear. Only the action will. So what does that mean? What does that look like? If you think that you could just sit there and just think about, oh, if I did this, if I did that, or if I plan this out and I do this and I cross this T and dot this I, a lot of times while you're sitting there and overthinking, life is passing you by. Time is passing you by, and you are allowing your thoughts to keep you from making the action. The only thing that can overcome the fear is to do it. You have to do something. If you are only sitting there and you're thinking it and you're overthinking it and trying to overprocess it and over control the outcome and the narrative, that is not going to overcome the fear. It'll probably make the fear even worse. The only thing that is going to kick fear in its butt and get it out of your way so that you can move on to that next chapter of your life is to do. You need the action. Only action can overcome the sensation of the fear. Number 5, see fear as your stepping stone, not your stumbling block. Don't let it stop you from doing what you want to do. See it as, this is a stone here. This is a barrier, but it's not a tree. It's not a cliff that has no bridge. There is a bridge there. You still can cross that cliff, even though you're afraid of heights. Don't look down. You know what I'm saying? Then as you're crossing the bridge, run and don't look down. Just do it. Just go. And what you will find is that eventually you'll end up on the other side of the cliff, and then you can look behind you and be like, oh, that was it. I did it. I made it, right? Okay. Number 6, identify the fear. I'm not telling you to act like it doesn't exist. It does. And your emotions are valid. How you're feeling is valid. And fear is your mind and body's way of doing what it knows best, is thinking it's protecting you from something. So that mechanism needs to be there. That sensation needs to be there. But identify it when you feel it and allow yourself to feel it. Just don't allow it to stop you. Name it. Give it a name if you need to. Call it, I don't know, Rebecca. Okay? Don't let Becca stop you from getting where you want to go. Be like, calm down, Becky. You know what I'm saying? Like, just calm down. We gonna be good, girl. We gonna be fine. We still doing what we got to do. Number 7, a trick that I recently learned is to visualize yourself putting that fear in your purse. So as a woman, you know, when we leave the house, sometimes we got purses on top of purses, a purse, a backpack for the kids with their stuff in there. You know, we got tons of things going on in our hands when we get to the car, right? So if you're afraid to do something, visualize yourself packing the fear in your purse. Listen, then you're coming with me, okay? You're coming with me, fear, but we're still going. We're not stopping. We're still getting in this car. We're still pulling off. We're taking that new job. We're moving to this new location. I guess you're just going to have to come with me. And then when we get there, I'll unpack you and you can run around this new apartment and be afraid all you like, but we're going. Pack it up and take it with you. Just don't let it stop you. I hope what I'm saying is making some sort of sense, because again, I know all of these things are easier said than done. I just don't want fear to stop you from living your life. I don't want fear to stop you from leveling up and becoming that higher version of yourself, the woman that you know you are designed to be. I don't want the fear to stop you from doing that. So if you are afraid to make certain changes, to remove yourself from certain situations, to cut off certain people from your life, if you're afraid to do that, then Bring the fear with you, but still get it done. Let the fear come along for the ride. Eventually, the fear will get tired of riding around with you and will say, okay, I'm stopping right here. You can let me off at the next light. It won't carry itself with you forever. Okay, so I have some affirmations here that I want to go over that I feel might be helpful as well. And so I hope you're in a relaxed state and that you are able to receive these affirmations. You can repeat them back. You can write them down. You can go back and listen to them again if you need to. And again, we are not trying to, discredit how you're feeling. I want you to understand that because that means a lot to me. I want you to understand that fear is valid and that the feelings that you feel are valid and that you are just going to now understand that you're going to pack those emotions up with you and still get it done. Bring them along with you for the journey. And like I said, eventually they will fall off as they need to on their own. Whether that's fear, anxiety, depression, worry, stress, just bring it with you. Right now, I'm feeling overwhelmed from last week with the work I had to get done. I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety about this upcoming week, but I'm going to take those feelings, and I understand that the way that I feel is real. Whether it's real to anyone else or not doesn't matter because it matters to me. My feelings are valid, and I'm going to still get everything that I need to get done will still be done, and I will bring those emotions with me until they fall off on their own. Okay, so I'm not going to keep going in a circle because I just want to make sure the point is getting across. But here are some affirmations that I'm hoping will help you. Take a deep breath in, relax. I will always choose courage over comfort. I will always choose courage over comfort. I trust my ability to handle anything that comes my way. I trust my ability to handle anything that comes my way. I release fear and embrace bravery. I release fear and embrace bravery. My courage inspires myself and others to be bold. My courage inspires myself and others to be bold. The fear I feel is real to me. I allow it to exist and I still pass through it every day. The fear I feel is real to me. I allow it to exist and I still pass through it every day. I gain courage even in times of fear because I trust my heart. I gain courage even in times of fear because I trust my heart. I am strong and capable. I am strong and capable. I am fearless in pursuing my dreams. I am fearless in pursuing my dreams. So there you have it, girl. I hope this was helpful. One little tip a little extra note that I want to give you. was that the story that I told you about relocating and coming to California, that was a big mountain for me. And I recently read a quote that said, if you have been given a mountain, if you feel like in your life that you have been given a mountain, you have been given that mountain to show others that it can be moved. You have been given the mountain to show others that it can be moved. And I feel like that first big mountain, leaving the comfort of the East Coast, coming over to the West Coast, was that mountain for me at that time. And I had to show others that it could be moved. Because after I did that, then my brother moved out here, my sister moved out here, and then my other baby sister moved out here. And it was just like, but someone had to start. Someone had to begin. And then my cousin moved out here. He's over in Miami now, but it's just like it had something, someone had to be the initiator. And like I said, even though I was afraid, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have a plan. My daughter was only 5. I just knew that I still had to do it. We'll get more into my story as these episodes come out. But for right now, bring the fear with you if you need to. But just be brave and still get it done. And if you need to reach out, if you need someone to come along with you for the journey, I am here, girl. You can reach out to me if you need to, and we will get through it together. Until the next episode, I love you, girl. All right, bye.